Alright, welcome to my video. My name's Eckogen. In this video, I'll be going over the mechanics of Rukesh, the final boss in Sandstorm Temple. So first we'll go over his attack pattern. He does a 2-hit frontal blockable attack, an attack with his fists. Each of those can be blocked, and he's going to follow up with a swipe, which can be blocked as well. Another 2-hit frontal blockable attack, and then he's going to do a room-wide AoE except for the back, so the back of him will be a safe spot. And then he's going to follow up with a linear unblockable AoE underneath of him. And then he's going to do a room-wide AoE that covers most of the room except for the inside circle. And then the inside circle is going to hit next. So he's going to do outer, then inner. And then here's his claw attack. It's just a one hit. It's blockable. And then that is the end of his attack cycle. So from there, it's going to repeat. So there's a 2-hit frontal attack. Here comes the slams, and then the swipe. Another 2-hit frontal. AoE, the back of him is safe, and he's going to do a linear AoE. Outer circle, and then inner circle. And then a claw attack. And you can keep doing that until you hit mechanics. So mechanics for Rukesh in normal mode happen at 80 and 30%. In hard mode, they're 90, 60, and 30%. So when the mechanics start, you're going to see this message here where it says Rukesh creates a glyph to unlock Mystic Force. So he's going to start off with a 3-hit room-wide AoE attack. And this attack is going to deal damage depending on the number of Blood Serpent stacks you have. And you're probably wondering what the hell are Blood Serpent stacks. So for all of his attacks, if you're hit by any of his red attacks, which are the unblockable attacks, you'll get a debuff called Red Serpent. And that lasts for 30 seconds. It's stackable, and then it blows up, so to say, when you're hit by any of his yellow attacks, which are the blockable attacks. So the higher your stacks are, the more damage this is going to deal towards you. So it's very similar to the last boss in Hollow's Heart. And then a certain number of circles are going to light up, and that number depends on the percentage of the phase you're in. So you can see here there's 2 circles that are lit. So in normal mode, 80% it's going to be 2 circles, and then 30% it's going to be 4 circles. In hard mode, it's 2 circles at 90%, 4 circles at 60%, and then 6 at 30%. When those circles are illuminated, the boss is going to have a buff called Unlock Mystic Power. So you can see that icon right below on his buff bar there. So the goal is to remove this buff before he gets a chance to absorb those circles. As if you let him absorb it, he's going to do an instant wipe, and that applies both for normal and hard mode. So he's going to do that AoE again that covers most of the room besides the back. So remember, the back is safe. And then he's going to do a linear AoE to follow up. Now he's going to do outer, inner. Okay, next you're going to see is that Rukesh searches for a target to judge. So he's going to mark the 2 furthest players. So if you're not the marker role, then you need to immediately get close to the boss so you do not get judged. So you can see on the 2 people there in the back, they have the watch buff. So that's the buff he puts on the 2 furthest players. So you'll see who it is because they have like a eye icon above their head. So right here, he's going to do a 4-hit room-wide AoE. So I would recommend having party iframes here. So he's going to grab the furthest of the 2 markers, and then his CC bar is going to open up. It opens up because he's going to do an instant wipe attack, or at least he's going to attempt that. So when his bar opens up, you need to CC him, either a stun or a knockdown or whatever, but just go with stuns because that's the most common CC. If you do not CC him here, it will be a wipe, and this applies for both normal and hard mode. So that person that got grabbed, they're going to have a buff that's called the Obsidian Serpent buff, and that lasts for 1 minute. So after the CC, the boss is going to follow up with a set of AoEs around the map. And he's going to spam this attack 10 times. Now, one thing to note is that in hard mode, the player with the Obsidian Serpent buff, which is the one that was grabbed, they actually need to avoid getting hit by all the AoEs, as getting hit or even iframing it will have their Serpent buff removed. So if you're doing normal mode, you don't have to worry about that. But in hard mode, the person that did get grabbed that has the Obsidian Serpent buff needs to be careful of those AoEs at all cost. So after that, you can see this message here where it says he unleashes his wrath or his wrath. So this is where each of those two markers need to step into their own circle. And the marker with the Obsidian Serpent buff spawns a black ball when they step into the circle. The other one that steps into the circle will be targeted by the boss, and that's going to spawn a red ball when they step into the circle. So both of those balls are going to be absorbed by the boss, and that removes his Unlock Mystic Power buff, and that damages him for 5% of his health. So this is how you stop the instant wipe mechanic, because you have now successfully removed the buff from him. And now that's the end of his phase. So you can see you did it correctly because it says Rukesh is weakened from enacting the blood sacrifice. And then from there he's going to do his normal attack pattern until the next special phase. Alright, so for this boss, he has an extra mechanic. It's called the Pillar phase. So in normal mode, this happens once at 50%. In hard mode, it happens twice at 70% and 40%. So he's going to start the phase by, he says, he judges with his all-seeing gaze. So this like shadowy barrier is going to form around the edges of the map. Touching the barrier will result in having any of the Blood Serpent stacks explode. And remember that you get Blood Serpent stacks by getting hit from any of his red attacks. So during this phase, what he's going to do here is that each player will be marked one at a time, and he's going to toss a pillar or a bomb towards them. So every pillar causes a shockwave from the location of that player that he chooses. So you need to jump over that. So do not waste an iframe here, or try not to. So he's picking me for bomb. Next player got a pillar, shockwave, jump over that. So remember that the pillars cannot overlap, or they will cause a room-wide high AoE damage. So try not to overlap them, because they won't cause an instant wipe or anything like that, but you will trigger some high AoE damage if you do overlap. Now, once everyone has been marked with a pillar or a bomb, he's going to do a shockwave AoE. So this shockwave is going to affect every pillar, and it's going to cause them to create a shockwave as well. So these pulses will inflict the Blood Serpent debuff if you are hit by them. So during the pillar phase, you pretty much are constantly jumping over the shockwaves. And then from there, he's going to do his regular attacks until you hit mechanics. So remember that when you see this message, that means he's doing the mechanics. In normal mode, once again, it's 80, 30. Hard mode, it's 90, 60, and 30. So remember that he's going to do a 3-hit room-wide AoE. And now, because this is the last phase in normal mode, 4 circles are going to be lit. Watch out for his AoEs. He's going to mark the 2 furthest players, so they need to position themselves to make sure they get marked. You'll know who it is because they'll get that little eye icon above their heads. He's going to do 4-hit AoE slam. So now he's going to pull the furthest of the 2 markers, and that one that gets pulled will have the Obsidian Serpent buff. CC bar will open up, so this is where he attempts to do an instant wipe. You must CC him here. And now he's going to span random AoEs all around the room 10 times. So the person who got grabbed, that has the Obsidian Serpent buff, needs to make sure they do not get hit by that, including iframes. Even having iframes get hit by that will remove their buff, but that only applies in hard mode. So as soon as this message appears, where he unleashes his wrath, this is where the markers will then step into their own circles. Since there's multiple circles, it's very important that they communicate ahead of time to which set of circles they're going to go into. So the 2 on the right here is a set, and then the 2 on the left is a set. So if they were to each go, let's say one on the right and then one on the left, that's going to mess it up. You have to be using the same set of circles. You can see because they're linked to the boss. So when they go in, there's going to be a black ball and then a red ball. He's going to absorb that, which weakens him. So remember that if you fail to do that, he's going to wipe. He's going to do the AoE, and then outside to inside. Shockwave AoE. Right after that, he's going to mark. So once again, 2 markers get in position. He's going to do a 4-hit room-wide AoE. He pulls the furthest of the 2 markers. Once again, he's going to attempt to do the instant wipe. You must CC him. That marker has the Obsidian Serpent buff. And he's also going to toss linear AoEs at 2 of the markers. And now he's going to do the 10 AoE spam. So remember that this is the AoEs that the Obsidian Serpent buff person must avoid if they're in hard mode. After this, he's going to do the absorption. So this is where they step into the circle. They spawn the red and black ball. He absorbs that, doing that correctly, takes off 5% of his health, and that stops him from doing the instant wipe mechanic. And there we go. That is the mechanics of Rukesh in Sandstorm Temple. So I will include the summary of the mechanics in the video description. And as always, I'll also include the referral link to Exit Leg. You get a 3-day free trial. Give it a try. If you do like it and you want to purchase a plan, please use my discount code Eckogen to get 20% off. Thanks for watching. Hope that helped.